Hey guys, welcome back to the Wixon Farms. It is about September 16th here in southeast South Dakota. We are working on trucks because we have beans. They're probably going to be ready in a week. A lot of fields have already turned completely yellow and dropping leaves, so they're turning fast. So we're kind of got the trucks in. Got the black truck unhooked from that Dakota trailer, and that is in the shop over here. We're working on that today. That's got just some regular maintenance, grease it, oil change, and let's see. This truck used to have a huge sleeper on it. So it's got a long frame in front of the trailer and the cab. And that used to just have these air lines and electrical lines just laying on the frame. It came up on the chassis here, and that's not exactly legal, and it's kind of a mess. So we're gonna get what they call a pogo stick. It's gonna pull it up here and keep the lines up off the chassis from here. I got all new air lines from the truck shop there today, air and electrical, and this is the stick. Sorry about that. It's gonna go like that. It's gonna hold those lines up off that chassis. So it's gonna clean everything up nice, make it nice. And as you can see, we actually got a muffler. This truck, owner before me put a grain unloading auger from the Lexium combine on it when they took this when they took the sleeper off. So it is a huge pipe, hence the name single barrel. It's actually got an elbow in here. We're gonna cut this pipe off. We're gonna drop that muffler in, clamp that muffler on, and then probably put the pipe back on. We could take the whole thing off, but it's actually welded to the frame, which probably isn't good, but that's kind of what we have to deal with. We don't want to mess with that bracket too much. We'll put that back on, maybe shorten it up a little bit. It does not need to be that high. That way I don't have to wear earmuffs in this truck in the fall, because that truck has a pretty deadening noise. It sounds awesome. It's a great sounding truck, but we need a little bit of muffler on there so I can keep my hearing for a few more years. But yeah, we'll get those air lines on there and get that all cleaned up. And my wife's car is in the shop. We're gonna get that serviced. It just needs the oil change. And a few odds and ends on that, so that's good to go through harvest. Don't have to worry about that thing. And we'll probably, if we get this truck and get the oil change on it, we got the red truck, the International, we'll get that in here after that. Get that checked over. That's been through the DOT inspection, so that one's all good to go. But we'll get worked on this one today and see how this all goes. All right, here we go. Get these lines disconnected already. Get these old air lines off the chassis. Tell these old glad hands and everything, they're pretty shot. We've got all new glad hands, new handles, new hoses, so this will all be replaced. This is the old electrical for the trailer lights. That'll get replaced. Take off this. Get some access. We'll have to cut a few pieces off. This truck just has some wire mesh panels over the battery box and between the frames. We'll just take those off. We're gonna trim a little edge on it. And while I'm working on that truck, my dad is taking out the combine, backing that out. I think we're gonna try to get that test fit on the new bean head, because that is a new Draper bean head to us, and we gotta see if there's any kinks. There's always some kinks to work out with the electrical part of the head. We're gonna test that, make sure all the electricals run, and up and down, and get the contour master set up. And I don't think there's any sensors, anything we have to add to that, so that should be good. But we'll get that test run today too. But while I'm working on the truck, he's gonna be backing that out, and I'll probably come help him hook up to that head too. All right, we got this pogo stick on. We got the new lines that came all wrapped together, but that's nice and neat. But the only thing is, each one of these lines has to be threaded into a valve down here where it comes out of. And that means the line actually has to spin, like you usually stretch it out and then spin it so that it actually turns, unless you have some kind of slip joint. And I do not have a slip joint on this. I think I'm actually gonna have to take all this nice coiling off. So the lines are each individual so I can spin them, because I do not think they'll spin inside there. And so they'll spin and tighten into their spot, and then I'll probably have to run this coil back on there. So that's gonna add a little time to this job, but well, I guess that's what has to be done. All right. And that's always how it goes here. You buy something, you spend the money to make something super nice, and it's all together as one piece, and then you find out you have to undo the whole thing just to get them on. And then I'll put it all back on. Every day, that seems how it seems like it goes. One little project turns into a big one. But we'll get this done. And when I put these air lines on, I found out that it actually does have a slip joint, so I definitely did not need to uncoil this whole thing. So all that time it took to uncoil it, and now I've been coiling this for the past 5-10 minutes. Was not needed. It's another Monday here for me. Seems like the story of my life. But we'll get this back together, and maybe it'll work out, end up getting lines exactly where I want them a little better anyways with this coil around it. Yeah, we'll get this back together, and there, we got that line all coiled back up. This will bring this up off the frame like this, and this will plug in the trailer over here, and it'll ride up like this. Keep that off that frame, nice and safe and nice and clean. We'll have to see. This is a 12-footer, and if it's a little tight, we may have to get like a spring hanger here to lower this down, or I see there is some holes here, maybe we could go down lower. Probably don't need to be quite this high on this trailer. So we'll get hooked up to the trailer and see how it is there, but we just gotta put some glad hands on these ends and this should be good to go. Taking a lunch break out of the shop while we're getting stuff ready. Drove by the beans, kind of check them out. And as you can tell, these beans are getting really close. There's no leaves left, a few little yellow leaves here and there, but these are getting really close. And you guys can kind of see our no-till down the rows. You can see the corn stalk still standing right through the middle of the row. That's kind of what our no-till beans turn out like. Yeah, this hill, big field. It's got a lot of hills, terraces, 165 acres. It's a big field. But I would say maybe 5 to 10 days, depending on the weather, these will probably be ready to try. And they're talking 80 degrees all week here in southeast South Dakota, so I would guess these are going to dry down pretty good. So it's kind of getting exciting. Got a crunch time. We got to get this stuff ready, get the trucks ready, get the bean head ready today. We'll try a few things out. But yeah, we'll get back to the farm after lunch here and get a few. So we got the new 35-foot draper, new to us anyways, on the combine. And we're just running the separator around this, seeing if there's any issues. So far it's been good. The only thing I just had to go back and the rotor was set in low speed and I couldn't reach the right speed, so I had to shut down, manually pull that, and now we should be good to go. Fire up the rotor. Fire up the head. We'll throttle up. Now we'll set that rotor speed back down since we're in high gear. We want that like at 560. There we go. Everything's going good, so now this is pretty much ready. Maybe 3-4 more days here, this will dry down. Beans will dry down, this will be ready to go. It's always good getting that first time you start the rotor and the head up. It's always kind of scary that first time of the year, but everything's going good in this new combine and head, so we'll be able to put this head back on the trailer, and I think we'll call this ready to go. All right, thanks guys. So the 35-foot draper that we got this year and the different combine, we just matched those up. We got those and we ran them. Seems to be running good. I didn't see no big alarms going off in the cab or anything like that. Everything seemed to run smooth, so we got that on. We're probably going to call that good. We'll probably put that back on the trailer. We kind of looked over everything. Everything looks fine. We don't see any broken knives or guards or anything. Sorry about the wind, but we'll get this on the trailer and put away, and then it will sit here for 4 or 5 days, and we'll be ready to start combining beans. He's down disconnecting the electronics and the hydraulics, and he'll pull the PTO off there, and then this head will be free so we can drop it off in the trailer. Should just take takes a few minutes when you get good at this. It's good to go. We'll strap that down and be ready to ride to the field down the road. All right, we're done with the combine for a little bit. That should be good there. I got some stuff going in the shop yet. Got a million things going on. I'm trying to keep track of everything. Freightliner is draining oil right now. That was not running before, so oil wasn't hot, so it's gonna take a little bit. That is draining. This Nissan got new filter and everything on it. Plugs in. We just gotta fill the oil up in this thing. And this thing's ready for my wife. We're back on the road. We'll get this full of oil and then we'll move on to that truck. Check the oil on this thing quick. For the oil change is done, make sure that's good. Yep, it's right in the middle, perfect. This car's done, this can get out of the shop and it can get back to work on the trucks. That's good to go. If you ever want a car that gets like 35 miles a gallon and has like 300 horsepower and is crazy fast, this Nissan Maxima is crazy how fast for a 4-door sedan car it is. But it's been a good car, so we'll get that back to my wife and get that back to town. Back to the trucks. And of course, it never fails. I'm servicing the front end of this truck, getting the grease zerks. You get all underneath there with the grease gun and on the creeper underneath the truck, and the grease gun always runs out. And that's what just happened. So now I'm getting back up, filling up the tube of grease. Every time. So earlier in this video, I was out in the field and stuff, and I said it was September 16th. That is not right. It is September 14th, now that I look at my phone, so I'm not sure why I thought it was the 16th, but I guess it's just been busy. So it is the 14th, and it's about 5:30, 6 o'clock tonight now. I'm just trying to finish up before I go home. Go home and see my family. So this truck, we got the airlines on earlier today. Now we're changing the oil. It's all drained, new filter on. I'm just filling up this oil now. We'll get this filled up and started, and I'll probably call it a day and head home and get an early start tomorrow on bring this truck out. We'll get the Red International in. And I don't know if anybody have ever seen this, but if you get oil in a 5-gallon bucket, it is almost impossible to get into an engine. But I have this thing. It has to be 50, 60 years old, probably my grandpa's. And it works awesome for getting oil. You fill this up with oil and this neck comes loose and you can pour it down with the trigger on top. I can't even imagine how many thousands of gallons of oil have gone through that, but it still works great to this day. And we use that for a lot of oil because we don't have the fancy pumps to roll up and pump the oil right into the machine, but we do have bulk oil, but we still use this a lot for bulk oil too. So we'll get this filled up with oil and we'll get this thing started up, and the front end is almost greased up, just a few things in that, and this thing's gonna be ready to go. So we got 7 gallons of oil in this truck. I don't recall how much this takes. It's right around there. But we'll start it up, get the filter charged up, and check the oil again. We'll see where we're at. Make sure it's a neutral. Gotta be safe. There. That filter should be charged up with oil, so now we'll get an accurate reading of the dipstick. We'll check that, see if we need to top it off, but it's almost 6 o'clock. a little after 6, so it's getting later and I'm hungry and it's hot and tired, so it's a little long day. So I'm gonna head home and call it a day. But thanks everybody for watching. We'll be back tomorrow working on more stuff. So give me a like or subscribe.